All right. Ride with me, y'all. Slow Alaikum. Peace. From Coach Nazir. And I just want to stop in because I get this question is pretty common. First, I'll give it a few seconds for some of our brothers and sisters to chime in with us. Once you do, let us know where you at. Where you chiming in from, what country, what state, city, whatnot. But I get this question, right, from brothers. A lot of people ask me, when do you know you're ready to marry more than one woman? It's usually from somebody who's already married, obviously. I'm talking about polygyny, man with multiple wives. So usually it's a married man asking, when do you know you're ready for two wives? And it's a funny question because we talk about, and my wives talk about, it had to be more than twice the man. So alaikum assalam, I'm too long to catch you like king. How you doing? So to ask again, the question being posed is, when did you know you're ready as a man for polygyny, to marry more than one woman? And I would say that, and I'm hoping that you can hear me. I'm assuming that you guys can hear me because I had these earbuds in, but it worked earlier to get the Facebook live stream and the loyalty. So if you haven't checked it out, check out our page over there. The same handle on Facebook or on our private Facebook. Always been shared as well. Nevertheless, I do want to say that this is how you know you're ready. You're ready, you can deliver on the deliverables. That's really simple, right? It's easier said than done. That's what I mean by it's really simple. When you can deliver on the deliverables, that means if you're already married, obviously you're in monogamy, you're married, and you want to expand that to polygyny, there are many different dynamics that come into play. So, you as a man, we talk about being more than twice the man or becoming a man of value. That means you have to expand, you have to grow. All right? Now, you're not going to know what that's really going to be like until you're there. So, one of the things I suggest right away is to make sure you can take care of the things that are easiest to measure. Things that are easiest to measure. And we know, at least as Muslims, I follow, and my wives follow, we're Islam, we follow Islam. So we practice polygyny the Islamic way. So there are two things, really, really simple. You got time and you got money. Those are easily measurable. You got time, it's 24 hours in a day, right? So you can measure time. Somebody leaves at a certain time, comes in at a certain time. Easy measurable. If you can't handle that, it might not be time for you, bro. Secondly, money or currency. Very easily measured. So checking your currency, seeing what your financial situation is looking like. Yeah, I'm in traffic and it's construction. Nevertheless, so time and money, those are the easy things. The other stuff, those are the challenges. Now, when it comes to, again, money or currency, depending on where you are in the world, what your standard of living is, and so on, because the responsibility does lie with the man. Now, of course, there's flexibility, and I let people know, especially sisters, that there are predators out there, no matter the religion, no matter the guys. Sadly, there are predators all over the place for a number of different things. So for the women who want to give up everything just for the sake of being married on something, that's not wise. I would not advise any sisters to give up, just give up your rights, period. There are sisters who are financially secure, not looking for that. They may have raised their children already, just looking for companionship. Again, there are certain circumstances of flexibility, but it's wise to know your rights, one, and number two, keep them, or negotiate. But those are the two measurables: time, money. So once those are out the way, now you get to the hard part, because anybody can see the time and money part, right? So whether you're living in a 2-bedroom apartment, you're living in a 5-bedroom, 10-bedroom on 5 acres, whatever it may be, you can see. And again, it's about equity, not necessarily equality. So if you're married to your wife and you already have a family of 5 children, plus you guys, or 5 children, a few stepchildren, whatever it may be, whatever the size of the family, I swear, that doesn't mean that a new incoming wife, let's say a subsequent wife or a second wife, whatever you like to call it, the title wise, would have to have those same type of accommodations, especially if maybe it's just her, or maybe her and a couple of children, or they might be grown. I don't know. But again, it's about being equitable versus being equal. So now let's move past this though, because you got the time, you got the money, easy measurables. Now you have the things that can't be measured. All right, now you have the emotional fortitude. So are you working on yourself to become the man that you need to be able to handle differing dynamics. So if you're married to one woman, you pretty much know her likes, dislikes, and different things, and then you'll learn a lot more about her as she'll learn about you when it comes to polygyny. Because now the relationship is going to be tested either way it goes. It doesn't matter if she's down with polygyny, doesn't have a problem with stuff with it. There's still emotions that are going to be attached. There are new things that you're going to come across, and that is the rarity. Usually there's a lot of self-discovery that is required. Self-discovery being key, starting with self, right? So are you emotionally in tune? Not just to what her language is of the 5 love languages, or really knowing what yours are, but now you have to be open to an entirely new woman, learning new things about a new person, little nuances that may not have appeared or been there in your first relationship. Now, this is what I mean by a simple nuance, right? So my wife, Coach Fatima, and I, we've been married 25 years, and Coach Nile and I, we've been married a decade. So we married to each other. Coach Fatima and I were in monogamy for 15 years. And I knew her, she was my high school sweetheart. So I was 14 and met her freshman year. And I said, like, I spoke it kind of into existence even before I was Muslim. I was going to marry her, right? So 5 years later, we were married. You know, Allah is the best of plans. So here's the nuance, though, right? So Coach Nyla has these food allergies and food aversions to certain things. And for me, it's a trip because I like condiments on my food. So whether it's ketchup or if it's white, whether it's white stuff, like I'm talking about mayonnaise, right? So it's mayonnaise, tartar sauce, ketchup. She can't do any, she doesn't like any of those things. So it's hard, or it was hard at the beginning part of the marriage to like just try to go and do something nice and pick up something. Remember I picked up a burrito one time and I don't know what was on it, something that she couldn't eat. And they're like mushrooms, like she has an allergy to mushrooms. So this is totally new for me. I can't, if I'm gonna make something, try to surprise, I have to look at the different ingredients. It might be something she's allergic to, like lemon stuff and lemon cake, all kind of other stuff, right? Totally new to me. You have to learn those different things. And those are not deal breakers, but you're gonna have to learn a new person. And learning a new person can be a challenge because one, it's a challenge for you as the man, but two, you're also learning how your first wife or your initial wife is gonna be responding to that. Let me give you an example. I didn't know this until later when Coach Fatima told me. She was like, you know, you have this smell on you, and you know, she has to adjust to different smells. You know, I come in the house and I'm smelling like different food. That's not her food that I've been eating these 15 years, right? And I know this because I'm just leaving during dinner time or whatever. And so I'm coming into one house smelling like food from the other house. Now, I can't smell it. You can't really smell it if you're there. But if you go into somebody's house or sometimes someone smells like food, how you gonna deal with that type of situation? Not that it's gonna get something thrown at you. It might just be a nose up or just like, you know, it might just, you might not even recognize it. It might just be the silent treatment. You might not know. I didn't know. So anyway, there was a smell on my beard. So she figured that, I think it was on my beard. She figured that maybe, you know, I must have been, you know, hugging her, laying on my chest, you know, whatever it may be. She figured something because you will recognize in polygyny, as a man, you're going to recognize that the imaginations, they run wild. There's there's a lot of assumptions, a lot of comparison, a lot of imagination. Just, it's like a kindergartner. It can go wild. So anyway, long story short, Nazir, Coach Nana's first son, he had something, some oil and stuff that he used on his body, and I'm playing with him all the time. He's in my beard, on my chest, all kind of stuff. So she comes to learn as I had him by the house and his little diaper bag and everything else, that's where the smell was coming from. She thought it was coming from the wife. So she was reacting or responding in a certain way during the early part of polygyny, where it felt, you know, she felt a certain type of way. I had no clue of this thing, right? But it's for my son. But how you deal with that? See, many times we like to, I'm the man, I do this or that, or, you know, you have to cooperate, or blah, blah, blah. I'm not doing this. I'm not being oppressive. I'm all kind of things that we say, not being as gentle or as wise as we can be. So the deliverables that you can't measure, all right, it said it was reconnected, so I'm here now. Prayerfully, everything's good. Y'all can see me. But going back to what I'm saying, the deliverables on the measurables is one thing. The other part is how you deal with it. So instead of being the man where it's, okay, my wife's going to cooperate, she knows this, she understands intellectually. It's not about her understanding intellectually. It's really about making sure you're comforting her, letting her know that you still are protecting her heart. because when she was the only one that you had to take care of and protect her heart, she wants to make sure that that part, in essence, does not change. Because you'll expand your love and everything else, but just, again, the imaginations go wild. So sometimes we feel that, or our first wives may feel that now there's a shrinkage of love or what have you versus an open or an expansion. And there are different experiences that you're going to have that you haven't had before. So all of these things matter. All of them matter. So whether or not you're communicating in a way, here, I'll give you another example. Coach Nyla, she has a book. She published a book, the Naturalista's Do-It-Yourself Guide, right? It's about natural skin, natural hair, and natural beauty, period, right? Just loving yourself, embracing your beauty and stuff like that. So she has a book, it's published, deals with that, right? So my oldest daughter, who today turned 25 today, she in the beginning of polygyny, talking about first year stuff, right? I know some of this stuff because I've helped Coach Nyla with vending and doing her stuff, everything situated. So I know different types of stuff, all kind of unnecessary, like hair types and different things with coconut butter and coconut oil and all kind of different canned tube type stuff for your hair and cold washing and pool washing and all this kind of stuff, right? So I know a few of these different things, learn from her, like the expert on that. So my daughter was talking about something for her hair being detangled and all this kind of stuff. So me, and trying to be a helpful father looking for a solution, not knowing any better, suggested that she do these certain things and use a certain thing with her hair to help detangle, brush it and comb it in a certain way and all that kind of stuff, right? Why did I do that? This is new information from my other wife in my first home. I'm thinking it's all good, it makes sense, and intellectually it really does, but emotionally it just showed emotionally I didn't handle it in the best fashion. The best fashion would have been not to say anything at the time, or make things appear as though this is new information I came across type stuff, versus just coming out with a solution. Again, those things matter because those are things that are part of the heart. And as we talked about with loyalty, I streamed loyalty on my way to an appointment. Actually, I'm leaving an appointment now. So instead of being on Facebook, I'm with you guys on YouTube. We're talking about loyalty. And with that, because with loyalty, when you go against loyalty, when you're disloyal, that's really called, to me, that's betrayal. And those type of injuries and that type of pain is a very long-lasting injury. I remember watching a movie. John Travolta was in the movie. I think it was called The General's Daughter, if I'm not mistaken. And they were investigating rape and homicide, something like that. And he was questioning somebody. And he said, what's worse than rape? Because it was about, I think the general's daughter got raped. And it was, I don't know, it was a long time ago. But I just remember this one line from the movie that really struck me. And I'm like, dude, what could be worse than rape? You know what I'm saying? Somebody really physically forcing themselves on you, taking you, getting inside of you, or doing something and forcing you to do something with your body, right? That they don't want. It's totally against them, right? For their pleasure. So I'm like, hold up. What's worse than that? And it's not my opinion or anything. I'm just stating what he said. He said, betrayal. He said betrayal. Now that's one of the highest forms of betrayal to begin with that I can see in my young 20-something-year-old mind, is rape to begin with. But then he mentioned that because everybody can feel betrayal. You might not necessarily be raped or anything. Prayerfully have not, will not be. May Allah protect us from that. But there's a lot of trauma and stuff still related to it. But he talked about betrayal. And betrayal can sting and it can hurt for a long time. For a very, very long time. And that's the opposite. Or that's what happens when you're not loyal. That's how at least how I see it. Depending on the significance of something. It's one thing if you're not loyal, playing spades and you renege or something. That's not, betrayal. That's the breaking the rule of the game. But that's something that's really small. But when it comes to your marriage, when it comes to your first wife, your existing of the initial wife, these types of things matter. So that's why it's so difficult to say, figure it out on the way down. You know what I'm saying? You kind of jump and grow wings on the way down, because there's going to be a down and adjustment and transition period before it goes up. But the more you are equipped, the more your wing is going to work, and stronger they're going to be to begin with, if that makes sense. So I see there's some comments. These comments don't come up like on Facebook where they stay there. So I'm going to try to see if there's any questions, comments. If you do have some questions though, you know what, post a bunch of question marks at the beginning of it so I can find it quicker. while I'm driving because I'm supposed to be focused, not really looking back and forth. But you know how they do TV shows, and you're looking at the person next to him like, that's me right now. All right, so just do Jazakallah khair. Lakeem, I saw this was the first time it's ever happened. That's super dope. YouTube opened up an opportunity. Hey, Miss Montiero. How do deliverables, whatever needs to be delivered, you got to be able to do it, especially those things that are not measurable. You should know why women in the Arabic world refuse polygamy. The reason that most women don't like polygyny, well, one is that we're conditioned heavily against it right now these days. I mean, monogamy, if you know the history, there's a really good book called Public Vows that if you're in the US you should really check out. The author is Nancy Cott. The name of the book again is called Public Vows. Monogamy is relatively new, like less than 2 centuries new. You know, it doesn't take much to, if you look at what it really takes to change the belief or the concepts of a generation, it really only takes 1, maybe 2 generations. Stuff changes drastically. For example, you could look around us right now at the transgender movement or the gay thing, where a generation ago everybody was against it vocally, but nowadays even people are against it vocally, no longer against it vocally. Now it's marriage. Now you look at, you know, there's a whole campaign against it. Once you look at gay, transsexual, doesn't matter. You can talk about that. We can talk about the racial climate, stuff that's changing things right now, kind of, you know, whether or not it's actual movement or these are just small things. So that's that. But it really only takes a generation. If we look at babies being born in hospitals, that stuff is brand new, yo. You know, it's less than 100 years. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry now. So take children and turn it to a big business. There's a few different videos, really good documentaries like The Business of Being Born, and I think Born in the USA as well. But babies have been born at home all the time. I mean, I delivered 3 of my sons, alhamdulillah. My three youngest sons were born at home. My first son, I had little help. We had a midwife there. She kind of helped. I delivered, and then she kind of did the stuff afterwards. And that was a beautiful experience, one of the most peaceful experiences ever. Then the next 2 sons, I just delivered them. We were at home, and I made that happen, alhamdulillah. Extra scared. I should receive an Oscar for the way I was holding down, being daddy doula. But yes, delivered that. But nevertheless, it can be done at home, safely, cheaply, and everything else, and very, very good. But that's not, again, the topic of discussion. The topic is that people think you need to, the topic is that it only takes a generation or 2 to change the belief system about something. So monogamy is relatively new. Monogamy is to protect the men. And it's funny because women are like, what do you mean monogamy is to protect the men, it's to protect the women? No, it's actually protect the men and what they do. So, for example, let's look at your politicians. If we look at politicians, people love JFK, right? JFK had women in addition to Jackie O, right? Monogamy protected him and said, look, Jackie O's the official one. Anything come from that, you have to take care of. Or Jesse Jackson, preacher, Reverend Jesse Jackson, with his exploits. It doesn't matter. We can be talking about MLK for that matter, and his situation sexually and what he had going on. So monogamy protects the men. It says, look, this is your one legal wife. This is what you do. You can have an unlimited number of concubines, girlfriends, boyfriends, jump downs, whatever you want to call them, on the side, mistresses and everything else. So again, you know, polygyny requires the man to be more than average because he must be responsible for his families. You're responsible for whatever is born, any of your children. Are you responsible for housing? It requires you to be more. The men don't want to be required to be more. They want to go ahead and play. Whether you're Jimmy Swagger talking about your prostitutes and preaching all against this type of stuff, but I have sinned, and then you out there with it again. I mean, it is what it is. But polygyny is not something that men are necessarily for, because they're absolutely fine with just playing around. And that's destructive to society. Again, we're not anti-monogamy, we're just pro-morals. And it doesn't take much to change other than a generation or 2. And stuff is all the way changed. I mean, you get music, what has happened since the 90s. You know, it is what it is. But I think, Brother Lakeem, question, we try to pull this thing up. It's a little difficult on this side. Duty police officers, let's see. Yeah. All right. So the brother says he loves my wives are able to speak freely and openly. Listen, bro. we're in our 10th year at this. So now with personal growth and everything else and investing in ourselves, got to that point. It's not, it didn't happen from the beginning. I haven't seen that with anybody from the beginning, even though there are claims of people being able to do so. So the question, is it best to have separate homes for your wives or under one roof? It really depends on your situation. In my situation, I have 10 biological children, 2 bonus children. Now, my 25-year-old, she doesn't stay with me. Our 20, he'll be 20, he's 21 now. My stepson, my bonus son, he'll be 22 next month. He doesn't stay with us. So 2 don't stay with us out of the dozen. So that leaves 10. Yeah, I'm gonna have 10 kids under one roof. That, yeah, it could probably be a big, huge roof that's different in a different country or something like that. You have about 10,000, 12,000 square feet. We don't have that. So no, under one roof is really not an option for us. If you're new and it might just be you and your wives, that could likely work. But for us, I found that because we have a big family, first of all, even if we didn't have a big family, they want their own autonomy. Women, should have their own space, their own way to decorate, have things the way they want to have it, have their kitchen looking the way it is. I mean, we've traveled before and stayed and we rented out an Airbnb, an entire house, and stayed under it together and stuff like that. Temporarily, so somebody will cook or they help each other in the kitchen and different stuff like that. But again, that's temporary. So it's best that you allow them to decide that. And it may be easier, more economical for us. And if they have a house with us, for example, we are entrepreneurs, we're also investors and stuff like that. So have a property with a couple properties with no mortgages on them, and stay in the house. So you pay the taxes and stuff like that, you're good to go. So there's not really an expense issue there when it comes to that. But you have to, again, one of the measurables is dealing with get your currency and stuff up if you want to be doing it where it's comfortable. It's one thing to do it on a struggle bus, and many times what occurs is if you're struggling, you're young, you're coming up, then your first wife she's been with you in that grind, and she may feel some type of way where, okay, now you got on your feet, you're doing some stuff, you're more situated, now you want to add somebody else to that mix, and she may see her as somebody benefiting from the fruits of labor she didn't participate in, all right, during this stage of life. So that does happen as well, which goes back to how are we emotionally able to really handle that, step up to it, and work on it as a man. I'll check see if there's a couple more questions. I'm almost at the house and I haven't eaten yet today, so I'll keep with that. Let's have separate homes. Any other questions though? I mean, we're gonna wrap up in a minute, inshallah. And I like YouTube. YouTube is much simpler to me than Facebook stuff. And I also find that people that are on YouTube tend to go there more to study and more serious about a topic, which I do as well. If I'm looking for something, go to YouTube University. It's there. I will leave another tip that I have. It's not a tip. It is what it is. This is a really important jewel. I was talking to my first of all, I know I let people on Facebook know. One of my daughters, my 3rd daughter, got married yesterday. Alhamdulillah. So now I'm a father-in-law. I can add that title to the game, even though even though her husband is in a different country. Man, I'm telling you. Even though her husband's in a different country, I gotta watch myself where I am right now. These cats. Even though the husband is in a different country, I'm a father-in-law. But I was talking to her husband's, it's weird to even say that, but her husband's brother. He stood in for his brother who's in another country as his wakil. So in the marriage ceremony, we had the marriage ceremony and everything, and I was with his brother and this close family friend of mine, really beautiful family. We joked when they were babies that we're gonna have to intermarry the family, which even made our bonds even tighter. So I'm alhamdulillah honored and grateful for that. But as I'm talking to him, as we left, and he needed to get dropped off, so he was with me and we were talking. I'm like, "What's up, bro? What you thinking about?" Because you could tell something's heavy on his mind. It's after a wedding and stuff too, so I had to hold it together too, man. I doing the whole offer and acceptance thing, I was like almost broke down a little bit. But he was like, I'm trying to get my life together. And I'm like, "Bro, what's up?" Because I picked him up. He was in, where was he? He was in Malaysia. And I picked him up from the airport in February. He had been back to the States since he was 3 years old. They stayed in Egypt for a while, then they moved to Malaysia. Beautiful place. It's lovely. I picked him up. Again, I know his father. So I was putting him up on game. I'm like, "Yo, this is what you need to do here. You have to get your ID, get this stuff situated." Talking to him about the credit game, talking about investing, a number of different things, right? Same personality type as I am. which is a challenge because they tend to be pretty hard-headed. But he's 24, 23, 24, something like that. So I'm like, all right, I'm trying to put him on game. I'm giving him game because, again, it's my close brother, one of the best brothers I know, son. And so I'm talking to him, and I'm like, okay, cool. What's your plan? Because he's having a situation. He wants to marry the sister. The family's from the States. They're currently in Egypt. And he's talking with her father, and the father's like, yeah, but no, but no, but yeah. Oh, we'll see. And he's kind of going back and forth like double dutch or something. So I'm like, okay, cool. What do you got? What do you have established? Where you stand at? You've been in 7 months now. What have you established? It's just you, and I'm talking to him, again, like it's my son. But I'm also talking to him from the eyes of a wali, because I am a wali. And I'm like, bro, you don't qualify to marry any of my daughters. You've been here 7 months. I'll put you up on game. Did you finish watching the Hidden Secrets of Money series by Mike Maloney? All right. That is mandatory for any man, for anybody that's want to know about the system, the currency, where it's going in the upcoming collapse, and how to protect your currency and everything. The Hidden Secrets of Money. Look it up on YouTube. All right. Again, YouTube University. So he said he finished 4 videos. There's 10 videos. He finished 4. I get it information to him in February. I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, I don't know what to do. And this and that. I'm like, okay, bro. I said, it's interesting. And I held my phone up and I said, what does Google restrict you on searching? He's like, nothing, it's unlimited. So what about YouTube? What type of videos do you just have to pay for? You can't access just by searching information you can't get on YouTube. He was like, nothing. So I was like, okay, but you said you don't know how to do something, so you're ignorant on something, right? Yeah, I don't really know how to do this, don't know how to do that. So, okay, cool. So you know the things that you don't know or that you need to learn, right? Yes, he agreed. And I said, okay, here's Google, here's YouTube. Now, what is the difference? Say you're ignorant, all right? You're ignorant of these things, and this stuff has answers. He was like, yeah. So I was like, what's the problem? What's the problem? He didn't understand what I was saying. I was like, what's the problem, bro? I said, with men, as a wali, if you are going to get married, you want to marry my daughter, you got to show what you're able to do. Any man that's worth his salt has to be concerned about the well-being of his daughter, period. All right, whether he has together or not, he wants to be concerned that whoever he's handing his daughter over to is going to be able to take care of her, period, right? So, but he's now again, he's young. He doesn't know any better. He's totally green. He doesn't come from the streets. None of this background that many of us do, that at least accepted Islam or converted to Islam. So, I'm like, what's the problem? He's not seeing what I'm asking. I said, okay, if unlimited information and learning and tools and resources are here for free, it's not even a shortcut stuff. This is not even courses, seminars. This is not that. All right. And you're ignorant about something. What's the problem? He couldn't come up with the answer. I said, okay, what's that bridge then? Once I made the analogy of what's the bridge between this ignorance and here, what is that called? Then he got it. Then he got it. He's like, ambition. I said, you can't teach ambition. But that's it. All right. That's what I'm looking for, because he saw how I married my daughter off. So what's that bridge? It's ambition. His younger brother married my daughter, third daughter. Right. So I have a 25-year-old today, 23-year-old, and a 20-year-old. The 20-year-old is married. We knew she'd be one married first anyway, alhamdulillah. But that's ambition. So we revisited what I told him about getting your credit and stuff straight and everything else, right? And at least having access to different things in case of emergency. And when your credit is good, you 0% interest and stuff anyway. So, but you need to have access to something. So put him up on game. And then after I dropped him off, we talked, he texted me, I'm done. I did it. I told him 7 months ago. I was like, bro, within 90 days, you can have access to $10,000 in capital in case you need it. You can copy several different houses, all the stuff. I'm giving him the game, but I'm like, I'm not going to give it to him like I do some of my consulting clients. I'm not going to give it to him where I have this all set up for you. No, you got to pay for that. People don't value what they get for free. See, the bridge between ignorance and education, knowledge, and all this information is that ambition. We live in a country that libraries are full of information. You want to learn another language, you want to know about business, you want to know about investment, you want to know all these different types of things about personal development, go to the library. Okay, let's say it's not open where you are. They have a website, go to it. But how much do library cards cost? Yeah, they're free. That's a problem. It's a problem. I mean that they should be charging for it? No, I don't. What I'm saying is when stuff is free, most people don't value it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So as I was talking to him, now he's getting the picture. Now he's making some moves. I told him people usually don't make moves till they hit a POD. So maybe you're at a POD right now. And the POD stands for point of decision or point of disgust. Your back is up against the wall. You're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Then you say, you know what? I need to make this happen. So if you want to practice polygyny, you need to make something happen. It doesn't matter if you're talking about, okay, I can look at quarantine as this whole thing of investing in myself and coming out different, becoming better, because now I have more time. People are talking about how much they're watching Netflix and all these other shows and all this type of thing. Look, that's on them. It depends on what your values are. But if you value you want to come out of these different things stronger. You know, the world is changing. It changed drastically, and it's not going back to what it used to be. Period. Am I going to be there to win in that world, or am I going to lose? Am I going to be a victim, or, you know, a passive participant, or am I going to be proactive? So he seemed to be at a point of disgust right now. The father's not sure about him. And I'm like, I wouldn't be sure about you either, bro. You came to the U.S. and land of milk and honey and all this opportunity. People putting you up on game and mentoring. You haven't taken any actions. You know, I've texted you this. I texted you these different links and given this stuff to you. And I've given it to him real. I'm a straight shooter with them. We're the same personality type. So we like stuff to be direct. Let's not beat around the bush. You don't have to sugarcoat it. Say what it is. And I'm like, if you become more of a man of value and stop being desperate, because now he's being desperate, like, oh, this and that, and get your own stuff, get your own assets, increase your value, then that man will be happy and honored to give his daughter to you because he knows he can trust you and sees what you're doing. With polygyny, it's not much different. You just have to do it that much more and become better at it. You know, when it comes to the emotions and, again, the things you can't measure. So I'm already 30 minutes in this, so with that being said, let me see. I'm going to check out some questions and wrap it. It's now parked around the corner from the house. All right, let me see. Love the fact you are overly. It's necessary to be fully established with bringing in wives. My fear is having a gold digger for a wife. It's best to be established before, but at the same time, you know, you need to make sure you're attracting the right type of person. All right, so if you become, you know, you don't need to be out there, oh, I have all of this. You know what I'm saying? It's best to keep a low profile. Otherwise, you likely will attract and can attract somebody just looking for a ticket. Did your first wife have any input on choosing your second wife? No. Yeah, I didn't notify her till after I got married. But interestingly enough, after I did get married, she told me that she thought about polygyny and that maybe she would make a good person, but she was not about to introduce or suggest polygyny to her husband, period. But she did think if I was going to practice it, that would be a good sister. So yeah, that was a few years later after she admitted that. Saving gold and silver constantly for the last several years, the best decision I made. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, gold is almost at 2,000 an ounce right now, and it just hit it. Is listen to the Rich Dad podcast and Jam Bullion and Kitco News. Gold and silver is definitely real money in the Sharia and everything else. That's actual money, not currency. The currency value of silver is $1 and gold is 50, but its own intrinsic content is far more than that. Everyone should be saving physical gold and silver. Yeah, that's to definitely hedge your family when it comes to money. So again, that's a different discussion. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna let y'all know this right now. What is it now? Today's the 17th. So on the 1st, I'll be announcing a new course that we have called Kings and Kingdoms. Kings and Kingdoms. So it's a manhood course focused on the men. We're really building them up, equipping them, not just with polygyny, but just on manhood, period. It's been called by people that are reviewing it right now, kind of the rites of passage that we need for this century. So, and we have a whole additional module on that dealing with financial opportunities, how to evaluate them, how to network properly with other individuals and so on. So, you know, be looking for that. That's just a quick little special little announcement. But Kings and Kingdoms, and if you don't know, we already have the True Queens course is already out, which is my wife's put together course talking about things from the perspective of women, whether it's etiquettes and really treating your husband and everything else, but also on polygyny. And I have a portion in there as well, a king's perspective, where I talk about what they give my overview of what they're talking about, and they also give a queen's perspective on the modules that we talk about on the king's thing. So we're pretty excited about that. Haven't really started to market anything yet, but I did want to, you know, let you know that since you tuned in. Appreciate you. I'm gonna wrap it up. Check one more time, see if there's any other questions. Other than that, I guess not another question. I already said this is it. All right, appreciate y'all. Assalamu alaikum. Peace. Join our Facebook group if you want a little bit more interaction during the week. It's called Let's Talk Polygyny. Other than that, I'm out and I need to find out how to cut this off from the phone. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.